Don't make the same mistake I did with estate sales. As I've told you in the past, I started this whole journey back in 2014, the beginning of 2015, and I didn't know anything about estate sales. I'm going to try to take you through 10 or 12 steps of what I found out through estate sales, working with other clients and working with myself. And one of the things that you got to think about when you're doing an estate sale is you got to start by assessing the situation. And why are you doing an estate sale? Well, this whole series that we're doing is we're talking about downsizing. And that's what I was doing, was downsizing. I had 20 years worth of stuff and I needed to figure out what I was going to do. I was going from a 2,500 square foot home to a one bedroom apartment. It was just me. I had a garage full of stuff, closets full of stuff. I had pool stuff, and I just needed to get rid of it all and trim myself down. And I didn't even know where to begin. You know, you may be going through a divorce. You may be going through a death in the family, which I've had experience with that with my grandparents and my parents. So, well, my father. So, it just depends on what your situation is. And you've got to find out who the key decision makers in that estate sale is going to be. Well, for me, it was me. And I was all alone and didn't really know what I was doing and made a lot of mistakes along the way in the people that I chose to help me, and because I knew nothing about it. And that's a big deal and a whole part of what we're going to talk about. So place yourself in 2015. Yes, we had phones like we have the iPhones and Android or whatever now. But at the time, I didn't really think about taking a good inventory of all the stuff that I had. I mean, I had closets full of stuff, garage full of stuff. I had up in the attic, Christmas decorations and just whatnot. I had a couple that helped me out, and I don't know how many people they had with them, and they just went through cabinets and drawers and the closets and everything after I had gotten my stuff, and they figured out what needed to be trashed, what needed to be donated, and what they could sell. And all of that takes time. Now, I did a lot of that myself also, but not having any experience with all that, I they're the ones that did that on a day by day, week by week, month by month basis, right? So they're the ones that should know what's going to sell and who's going to buy it, right? Again, try to pick the people that are going to help you and know what's going to sell. But the one thing that I have learned, and this really didn't apply to me, is if you've got really good valuables. For example, my grandmother, when we had an estate sale with her property, which went back to the 1920s when they built that house, they had some antiques and stuff like that. And you really need to get a professional in there when you're having like a high-end estate sale that can appraise some of your stuff. Like if you've got jewelry and you've got antiques or you have collectibles, you don't want this run-of-the-mill kind of estate sale person. You need somebody that really specializes in that, or you need to take all of that stuff completely out of the picture, because you need somebody to make sure that they appropriately price that kind of stuff. Otherwise, they're just going to give it away, because you may not know what the true value of something like that is, and they may not either. And believe me, there are people, especially in this market, probably all over the country, but in this market, they troll around in these estate sales. They know exactly what they're looking for. They resell this stuff online, or they've got their own shops. And believe me, they're always looking for a deal. Everybody's looking for a deal, right? So that brings us to like what is your format? What kind of a estate sale format do you have? The way I did it, I hired a couple. They came. They brought some folding tables. They had their own folding tables. They priced it. They had a sale. People showed up. They advertised it at the time, I guess, on Craigslist or Facebook or whatever they had back in 2015. Had it for a couple of days. People show up. They buy. Boom. Right? You know, now there's different formats. That's the traditional format. Now you can do an online auction, which you can, that's kind of a do-it-yourself thing. Do you really want to go through that hassle? I don't know. I mean, that seems pretty labor intensive, and that's entirely up to you. But that's an option. I've seen that. I can't think of what the online um, companies are called, but Google it and you'll find it. But I mean, they take a percentage of all that stuff. But to me, that seems pretty time consuming, especially if you're under the stress of trying to downsize and you're trying to find someplace else to live. I mean, who needs that hassle? I mean, to me, that seems like that would take a whole year. Now, I've also heard of something, and I haven't really seen this in action, but it's kind of a hybrid approach where they do it in person, but they also have kind of an online auction kind of deal. And I've heard of that for the higher end homes. I don't know how that works. Maybe you've seen that. If you have, comment below and let me know. I'd be curious to know where that's going on. But that sounds kind of like a cool deal. But I would think that would be kind of be more at the expensive level. But when you're hiring an estate sale company, you really need to figure out kind of what level you're comfortable at. Do they do this full time? You know, what are their commission rates? They're typically like 25 to 30% of whatever it is. Like if they're charging $100 for something, they're going to take 25 to 30% of the cost. You know, obviously some of that's negotiable. I don't know that I'd give anybody more than 30% of my stuff, but that's entirely up to you and what you negotiate, and really what other services they offer. I mean, are they going to clean up afterwards, and we'll kind of get into that. But one of the things that you really want to do, and I cannot emphasize this enough, and I'm going to have this in other future videos. The one thing that I will tell you as a real estate broker, and my name is Chris if I didn't introduce myself. As a real estate broker, whenever I walk into a home, the number one thing, if a house is not clean, man, I'll tell you what, I'm looking for all sorts of other things. And I can spot it right away. Please clean your house. Clean the items that you're going to sell. And as part of all this estate sale stuff, anything that you're not going to sell, get it out of the house. Because the things that you're not going to sell, I'm telling you, people are going to gravitate to that like nobody's business. You can have the ugliest couch, you can have the ugliest TV or whatever, and you want to keep it, but somebody's going to want to buy it. And the thing that you want to sell, you're not going to be able to get rid of. And I've seen that happen. I saw that happen with me. I'm like, I can't believe nobody wanted my Mickey Mantle baseball. Really? And they took all this other junk. I had nice Makita tools and nobody bought that. So that's a whole nother issue. That's a me issue. And make sure that when you have this sale, that you lock away anything that you do not want to sell. If you haven't already taken it out of the house, if you don't have a closet with a door lock on it, get a door lock. It doesn't even cost you $20. I don't know what it costs at Home Depot or Lowe's. But get a door lock, put it in the closet, and lock the door. This is super important. People are always sniffing around. They're looking for stuff, and you know, it's not that I don't trust people, but people are always looking. You know, so don't give them an opportunity. Lock away the stuff that you don't want to sell. I mean, it's really simple. If you're going to do an estate sale yourself, get some help. You need some help to do this because there will be a lot of people that show up. And when you're marketing something like this, you need to, if you're not going to hire somebody and you're going to do it yourself, you need to find a estate sale websites, go on Craigslist, go on social media, try to use local signs if you can do it. When I had my sale, it was in a suburb, and I had no idea, and neither did the people I hired. We were not allowed to have estate sales in our suburb, in our little town. And the police showed up at the beginning of the sale, made us take down all the signs, and it was not a good deal and made a lot less money than we potentially could have. We had to end up putting them out on the highway somewhere. It was a whole disaster. So you need to make sure in advance, which we did not do, so learn from my mistakes, that you just need to check and find out what your local codes are. Also, make sure that you take some high quality photos. Everybody's got an iPhone. Everybody's got a nice camera. Well, maybe not a nice camera, but everybody's got a nice phone that you can take good pictures with. Use it to your advantage. And use descriptions on stuff that you really want to sell, especially the big ticket items. Some people don't know exactly what they're looking at. So anything that you can do to try to sell it, you're trying to sell something. It's like when I'm trying to sell a house, I'm going to give the best features of this oven or this room, or you don't want to just throw up a picture. You want to emit an emotion, right? It's not just all black and white, four walls and a roof and all this. You want to emit emotion. So get them to desire what you're selling. Why did you buy that product? Get them to feel that same emotion that you did. And let me tell you, when it comes time for the sale, you got to conduct the sale, and you got to have security, you got to have staff. Do not try to do this with just one or two people, because it'll be a bad deal. There's a lot of people that'll show up to this thing. They will show up early. They will show up the day before. They will knock on your door. Hey, can I see everything before your sale? You need to have security. You need to have people to help people load things in. Believe me, it'll happen. Make sure that you have enough people to help. And as far as multiple payments, make sure that you can take cash, that you can possibly take credit cards, and there's all sorts of ways that you can do it on your phone now. Checks, probably wouldn't do that, because you probably won't ever see those people again. So, credit cards and cash. I wouldn't do checks. Apps like Zelle or whatever. I'm not telling you what to do. You need to figure it out, and maybe figure it out with your bank as well. But this is a big deal. So listen carefully. When this is all over with, what are you going to do with the leftovers? Is it going to be a church? Is it going to be Goodwill? Is it going to be Salvation Army? Is it going to be, what is it going to be? Because you will have leftovers, and there will be stuff that you got to get rid of. If you call one of these junk people, these dumpster guys, they're expensive. I mean, they're going to come out there, but it's going to be, $500, $600, $700 for you to just load up the junk and throw it away. If you want to do that, you can do that. If you want to donate it, you probably have to load up your car or your truck or whatever and take it over and donate it. And maybe some of this stuff is trash. I don't know. There's some furniture and stuff that I found that Goodwill and Salvation Army won't take. You just have to call them, and sometimes those guys are hard to get a hold of. I mean, a lot of these donation places have gotten super picky about what they want, what they don't want. So depending on what part of the country or town you live in, you're just going to have to check. But think ahead of what you're going to do with the leftovers, because you will have leftovers, and you got to figure out what you're going to do with it. I was fortunate enough to find a church. I don't remember what it was, and they came and cleaned it out. But after everything was over, was the big cleanup. Oh, but there is one thing I was going to tell you. Court on the last day, you can get trash bags and you can sell. If you really want to get rid of junk, you can sell a trash bag for like $2 and say, like a small white trash bag. Say, if you fill up this trash bag, you can whatever you can fill in this trash bag, it's $2, and just let them throw junk in there. You can do that for a garage sale too, and that's a good deal if you just want to get rid of stuff. All right, so that's just my side note idea. And as far as the cleanup goes, who's going to clean up? Are you going to pay somebody? Are you going to do it yourself? Or is your team that you have with you, are they going to clean up? Are they going to sweep and mop? Is this all part of the whole master cleanup when you get your house ready to sell? Or is that down the road? Just kind of have all of that in your mind. So, I mean, estate sale is not just about having a sale. I mean, it's more than that. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It just takes some planning. And I'm telling you, I did everything snap, snap, snap. And I was working like 80 hours a week, and it could have been so much more organized. I definitely could have made more money if I'd taken the time and interviewed more than just one person. It probably would have worked out a lot better, but it's in the past, and all I can do is kind of give you my experience and let you know that what I went through, and hope that things work out better for you. So let me know in the comments if you have anything that I can do or questions I can answer. I look forward to seeing you the next time.